everybody. I'm Andrea Miller, and I'm a registered dietitian here at Community Hospitals and Wellness Centers in Bryan. I'd like to welcome our live audience and viewers at home to Live It. ABC 1, 2, 3, that's how easy cooking can be. And I was trying to muster up enough courage to sing the song, but I can't do it, so I apologize. So today I have Andy Schaup with me, and he is the Environment of Care Coordinator. So from what I understand, you are in charge of making sure things don't catch on fire and are not expired.
Exactly.
Okay.
Nailed it.
And he has been with us since February, so I think this has kind of become like an initiation for new hospital employees, like must be on Live It.
Yeah. Before they know any better.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So thank you very much for joining us today on Live It.
Thanks for
So
having
you
me.
have a couple kids. So this is kind of a back to school themed episode. You
Okay.
you have one child in school, it sounds like.
My 7-year-old, she's in second grade right now.
Okay. So in school, is she packing lunches or?
Does a little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Buy and
packing.
do some packing. Yeah. Try to stay away from the Lunchables because I know how wonderful and nutritious those can be.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Try to do a little bit of our own home cooking before, meal prep before.
Great. Well, one of the recipes we're going to prepare today are muffin. We're doing an ABC muffin. Can you guess ABC? What are we putting in this muffin?
See, I would have guessed incorrectly because I would have guessed apples, bananas, and carrots,
Yes.
and it's not bananas. I don't believe.
Well, it's in September, and if you know me, you know that this here is my absolute favorite thing in the world. So yeah, that's a good guess. Apples, butternut squash, and carrots.
Of course.
For our ABC muffins. So we're loading these muffins full of fruits and vegetables and whole grains, and they freeze really, really well. So they're a really great addition to a lunchbox.
Okay.
Because you can even just take it out of the freezer in the morning, pop it in your kid's lunchbox, and it'll be thawed out by the time they're ready to eat lunch. So, or they also make great breakfast for those mornings when your kids don't want to eat breakfast and they need to be out the door by 8 o'clock, so, or at school by 8 o'clock rather.
Right.
So, yeah, they can get quite hectic. So again, butternut squash, my favorite thing in the world. We're actually going to use it in 2 ways today. We're also going to make butternut squash mac and cheese. And I know, Andy, you turned up your nose to that at first. You were like,
well,
really?
Butternut squash, as a child, wasn't exactly my favorite. But as I said to you before, we had the Brussels sprouts a few months ago, and you made me a believer out of Brussels sprouts.
Okay.
So I figured
I'm going to
pretty
make you a
optimistic.
believer in butternut squash today, I promise. And you tried this beforehand because everybody in the audience gets to sample the butternut squash and mac and cheese, and you couldn't really taste the butternut squash in it.
No, you can't.
But
it's really good.
you are adding a lot of vitamin A and vitamin C to that mac and cheese. So it is a welcome addition, especially for tiny tummies, which kids in school, and you even have younger kids. You have a 6-week-old and a 2-year-old, you said. So sometimes it's hard. Obviously, the 6-week-old's not eating food yet, but some of these foods you can actually introduce fairly early into a baby's diet, around 9 months, some of them. So they're good foods for the whole family. So let's get started cutting up this butternut squash. I know this is probably the part you're the most intimidated about. So we have a butternut squash. Good things about butternut squash, first of all, they're in season right now. You can pick them up across the street, actually. St. John's Produce stand has some awesome butternut squash right now. Or farmers markets or the grocery store, anywhere. They can stay at room temperature for a really long time. I store these in my basement, low humidity, dark. I have some, I'll buy them in the fall, and I'll be using my last ones like February.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they'll last a long time at room temperature.
And so you said you can freeze them, right?
Once they're cooked, you can freeze them.
Okay.
But they'll stay just like this, nothing done to them, for a couple months.
Wow.
So I stock up in the fall, and we eat lots of butternut squash. So there's kind of like a long side and then a bulb side, and I'll get started with this one. So this is the hard part. Cutting through it can kind of be hard. You need a really good chef knife. So the seeds are in this bulb part, and you have to take that bulb part off, or the seeds out. So I take the bulb off and then cut through that again. So the seeds are right in there. So I'm going to give you that one.
Okay.
And you can take your spoon, and we'll just scoop out the seeds from there.
Kind of like carving a pumpkin here, huh?
Yes, carving a pumpkin. These seeds are actually edible. You can roast these seeds just like pumpkin seeds, and they're actually a really good source of nutrients as well. So you just kind of, just like you would pumpkin seeds, you can do that for pretty much all squashes. Actually, in other parts of the world, this is known as a butternut pumpkin. So, yeah, and you can, yeah, that's fine, wherever you want. So then this part doesn't have any seeds. So I'm going to just cut off that top part here, the stem. And now we have to do some peeling. So Annie, I'm going to have you do this part here in a second.
Okay.
So what you do, you just need a vegetable peeler, and you just kind of start peeling away. So I'll let you do, that one's the easiest one. This one's a little bit more challenging because it's round. So I usually just take it and kind of try to get the peeling off. So this is something I like to do on a Sunday night for entertainment. Just kidding. No, but really, it's good. This is a good prep thing to do on a Sunday night to get your vegetables all cut up for your butternut squash and make these muffins so that on Monday morning, if you make these Sunday night, you can have fresh muffins on Monday morning for breakfast, and your kids will think you're amazing because they have these awesome muffins instead of just like cereal. And then once you get the vegetables cut up for the butternut squash mac and cheese, the vegetables can stay in the crock pot in your refrigerator overnight, and then you can just plug it in the morning. And it's a really easy step. And then later that night when you get home, you can do the final steps of making the butternut squash mac and cheese. So these are really compatible recipes for like prep ahead.
Yeah, thinking ahead a little bit.
Yeah. Or any night of the week. It doesn't have to be Sunday, but I find that prep on Sunday nights is a little bit easier. Doing a great job over there.
Am I managing? I've only got a little bit left.
Yeah, and so the skin is actually edible. So if you miss a little bit of the skin, it's not that big of a deal.
Okay.
So then I got all the skin off, the seeds out. So I'm going to start chopping this. I need about a cup for my muffins. So I'm just going to dice that up a little bit. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You can kind of do a big dice because we're going to puree this all in a blender. So you're not going to see any chunks of anything. Both of these recipes, all the vegetables are pureed in it. So if you have kids that like have an aversion to like finding pieces of vegetables or like chunks of vegetables, that's okay. So, all right, so I need about a cup for the muffins. And that actually looks like about a cup. So I'll have you lift that lid. Is it hot? Oh. I almost burned my sous chef again. Just lift the lid, it's fine.
It's all right.
All right. And then we're gonna add our carrot. Actually, I might have you do this one. I'll let you peel the carrot.
Okay.
And I'm gonna start with the apples.
It's not a race.
Right, not a race.
So, if it takes me 20 minutes again.
You're thinking safety again, aren't you?
That's right.
So we're going to do 2 cups of apples and then a cup of carrots. You just want to make sure all the seeds are out of your apples. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect because it's all going to go in a blender.
So are you able to just hide some of the vegetables then in general too, so the kids may not?
Yeah, so I mean, I try to encourage my kids to actually eat vegetables too.
That's a good idea.
But sometimes like sneaking them in foods for, just a little bit of added nutrition because sometimes it's hard to get to, the amount of vegetables and fruits that your kids really do need in a day with just, giving them a plate full of broccoli and saying, have at it, kid.
Eat this. Got to
Right.
meet our quota for the week, right?
Right, yeah. So, these muffins, they're not like, I wouldn't say they taste like pumpkin cake or anything like that, but they are, they do kind of satisfy a sweet tooth. They are a little bit of a treat. Perfect. So it does kind of satisfy that want for a baked good. So I'm going to keep chopping some apples. I'm going to have you slice that carrot into some round circles, if you don't mind.
I think I can handle that.
I always ask my sous chefs beforehand, are you comfortable with the chef knife? And you didn't say no, so.
Right. I don't know if I voted much confidence either, but yeah.
All right. You're doing a great job.
Look at that.
Perfect. All right. So this is another one. You can actually do extra steamed fruits and vegetables, and like if you have babies in the house, like this is baby food, guys. This is this is what's in the jar. So
right. Just get it from your own garden instead, right?
Or fresh stuff.
Right.
Perfect. That looks great. I'm gonna take a cup of that. And pop it in there. All right. So that's steaming away. I don't know if you could see it, but I have like a steam basket in here. And I have a couple inches of water in the bottom, so they're just steaming away. At home, another really simple way to accomplish this, the microwave.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you could absolutely use the microwave.
About how long do they steam for then?
They steam for, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes for them to steam. So we're going to do some other things while these are all steaming. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to steal some water from there, because I think we might have run out a little bit in the water. So, and actually we're going to jump ahead a second too while we're on that pot. We have our boiling water here to cook our pasta for our mac and cheese. So I'm going to get that going so that we have cooked pasta before we get the vegetables in the crock pot. So I have whole wheat elbow macaroni. We're going to go ahead and dump that into our boiling water. You don't have to use the elbow macaroni, but if you have young kids, I would highly recommend using macaroni-shaped pasta for your macaroni and cheese. I have had temper tantrums because I told my kids we were having macaroni and cheese, and it was like penne.
Oh, yeah.
and that was a big issue for them. So now if you call it something else, if you don't call it mac and cheese, if you just say we're having pasta, then it might be okay. But yeah, that is a big consideration for little ones. So our whole wheat elbows are cooking in the crock pot, and then we're going to get our other vegetables. There's cooking in our pan. We're going to get our other vegetables in our crock pot for our mac and cheese. So the next one is this bulb. So I'm going to use this bulb for not bulb, I don't know what you'd call it. Butternut squash. We're going to use this big hunk of butternut squash. Oops. Yeah, we'll just take that lid off. Yeah, you can just set it right down there. Perfect. All right. So we're going to chop up our butternut squash. Whoops.
Y'all, the 10 fingers were still good.
It's a little bit slippery. But I still have all my fingers.
Yeah. I told you, safety first.
Safety first. Yep, always make sure your fingers are not close to the knife. Since it's going into the crock pot and it's going to cook for 8 hours, these do not have to be very small hunks. You can kind of make them big chunks instead. Okay, so you need 2 cups of butternut squash for this recipe.
That's a really bright orange.
It is a very bright orange.
Surprised by that.
Yeah.
Is that the vitamin C or?
Vitamin A, actually, beta-carotene is that. Yes, there is vitamin C in it too.
Right.
But the beta-carotene is what gives it that really vibrant orange color, which it can actually make your skin orange too. It's fine. It won't really hurt you. Just stop eating so much carrots and butternut squash. You'd have to eat a lot of it. So.
Now I know.
Yeah, but actually, if you're cutting up a butternut squash that's not quite ripe, sometimes it can leave like a coating on your hands, which again won't really hurt you. It is a little bit uncomfortable at times, but it usually goes away. Okay. So I'm gonna put our butternut squash right into our crock pot. And again, sometimes I will do double the vegetables in here. I'm just gonna use all of it. I'll do double the vegetables in here and then puree them. Take half of them out before you, add your pasta and cheeses, and then put it, freeze it. So then that way you save this step the next time you want to make this recipe. And all you have to do is get it out of the freezer and add your pastas and cheeses and all of that.
Last year, over 390 people in Ohio were killed because someone chose to get behind the wheel impaired. This is Lieutenant Bob Ashenfelder of the Ohio State Highway Patrol's Defiance Post. As part of the patrol's ongoing effort to contribute to a safer Ohio, troopers will continue an increased focus on impaired driving arrests in 2018. But we can't fight this battle on our own. We need your commitment to plan ahead by designating a sober driver or call for a ride. If you drink, don't drive.
There comes a time when every family is faced with the difficult choice of aftercare for a family companion. In the past, your choices were limited to burial or cremation. Now there's a better option, aquamation. It's a gentle, more responsible alternative that allows you to honor the loss of your companion without harming the environment. Aquamation is a simple process similar to Mother Nature's own that allows the family to retain more of their companion's remains. To find out more, call or stop by Creel Funeral Service today.
One thing that hasn't changed here at Bryan Ford Lincoln is our commitment to service. It's in everything we do. It's in our mission statement. Our goal is simple: customers for life. Kick back in our newly renovated service lounge or business center. We pick up and deliver throughout the local area at no charge. So the next time you need service on your Ford or competitive make vehicle, come out and see us at Bryan Ford Lincoln and see why we've earned Ford Motor Company's President's Award 7 times running.
They say there is strength in numbers. In Bryan, we have always taken pride in supporting our Golden Bear student athletes in all of their sporting endeavors. The Bryan Athletic Boosters now have a chance for you to get into the game. If you're Bryan proud, it's time to become Bryan strong. Whether you were a BHS athlete, are raising a BHS athlete, or just love supporting our Bryan High School athlete, this is your chance to be part of the BHS sporting community. Talk to any board member today on how easy it is to join, or contact us at 419-636-4536.
BMU high-speed internet is now cheaper than ever. Now just $30 a month. That's $100 a year in savings. Get it with BMU Extended Basic Cable for all your sports, movies, and reality shows. Plus local programming, including high school sports and community events. Not to mention a local help desk and support team for when you need them. Now for the fine print. We don't have any. No contracts or hidden fees. Call BMU today at 419-633-6100 or visit us on the web at cityofbryan.net.
You don't always see them, and they don't always see you. That's the time to call Jason Dietz Collisions and Customs in Edgerton. Many of today's vehicles feature very durable and lightweight aluminum construction, and we are proud to be one of the few shops in the area with the proper tools and certified technicians to bring that aluminum beauty back to life. Jason Dietz Collisions and Customs on State Route 6 on the east side of Edgerton.
When Cameron's family came to us with a plea for help, we put our minds and our hearts into creating a solution. Selfless teamwork made the impossible possible. NSCC really is the heart of education.
It's been said a million times, there's nothing in the world more important than family. We understand that at Oberlin Turnbull Funeral Home and Crematory. Our entire staff is like family to us. They are some of the most caring, thoughtful, and dedicated people in our industry. In fact, our newest members are part of my family. When the time comes for your family to say goodbye, remember our family, Oberlin Turnbull Funeral Home and Crematory in Bryan, Sherwood, West Unity, and Hamilton.
Keeping children safe on Ohio school buses is a priority for the Ohio State Highway Patrol. This is Lieutenant Bob Ashenfelder of the Defiance Post. Safety on the roadway is a shared responsibility. Even though motorists are required to stop as a safety measure, children should always look both ways before crossing the street and remain alert to any sudden traffic changes. Together, we can make this a safe school year.
For over 40 years, Bryan, Ohio has been home to the only import vehicle repair specialist in Northwest Ohio, Suburban Auto. Whether it's an Asian or European vehicle, Suburban has the knowledge and experience to keep your import or domestic car running strong. Do you have a hybrid vehicle that's acting up? Suburban is your one-stop hybrid repair shop. Don't be fooled by the one-size-fits-all repair shops. There is no substitute for experience. Come see the import repair pros, Suburban Auto.
The hands-on training and education at Northwest State opens doors for good paying career opportunities with great local manufacturers. That helps me, my family, and my community.
Here at the Williams County Veteran Service Office, our mission is plain and simple. We are here to serve our local Williams County veterans and their dependents. We are staffed with trained service officers who have the compassion and understanding to assist their fellow veterans in obtaining all federal and state benefits that they have earned. Additionally, we provide emergency financial assistance and transportation to VA medical centers. So if you're a veteran or a dependent of a veteran, stop in today and see how we can help you at the Williams County Veteran Service Office.
So we have the butternut squash in there. We're gonna add some onion.
Now, can I ask you a question maybe about the butternut squash?
Yeah.
As far as picking it, like how do you know when it's ripe?
That's, so usually the skin, so you can see that the skin on that one, it's a little more brown, kind of tan.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to tell.
They start off green or what?
Sometimes if there's too much green on it, or if it's like a pale, more pale in color, that might indicate that it's not quite as ripe. You just want to try to choose one that doesn't have many bruises. If it's a little underripe, it just might not be as sweet.
Okay.
Generally this time of year, it's not too hard to find good ripe butternut squash.
Sure.
So I'm putting a small onion in there, which I started out with a really big onion, so I'm just going to do half of it.
Okay.
This is kind of nice because everything gets just dumped in the crock pot. Smashing my garlic and peeling that. And our apples and other vegetables are just cooking away. How's that pasta doing over there?
I stirred around a little bit.
Awesome.
Good not
sous
quite
chef.
al dente yet.
Okay. You've done your research on.
Oh,
do you like to cook at home?
I do a little bit. I think it's one of those things. I understand why you throw the Sunday evening out there, because that seems to be when like you can kind of make things for the week, meal prep a little bit. That's when I spend a lot of time in the kitchen.
That's huge when you have a family to do the planning ahead.
Yeah.
Because, well, especially with toddlers in the house, sometimes when it comes to dinner time, it's like if you don't have something on the table,
right.
Like they're just eating cereal and cheese because
I mean, spend most of my time
now.
chasing her, then then I step away from the stove, so things get burnt that way. But
yeah, so 3 garlic cloves right in there, and then a half cup of chicken or vegetable stock. If you're going the vegetarian route on here, I'd go vegetable, and some thyme. A half of a teaspoon of dried thyme, or you could add a little bit more fresh thyme. And you'll give it a stir. And since I know you guys don't want to be here 8 hours watching this thing cook, we're going to use some magic here. We're just going to take this out. So after it's done cooking, and again, they cut these a little bit smaller in the kitchen when they prepped. It'll look, can you see it in there? Like that.
that looks good.
Can you see it on the screen? Yeah. So it looks like that. All right.
Smells good too.
Smells good, yeah. So then when you're ready to serve it, the night you're ready to serve it, you just take an immersion blender if you have one, or you can put it in a regular blender. And this is the fun part, and blend it all up. This is my favorite kitchen tool.
Yeah.
Now Andy knew
Looks like
what this was. When he came in here, he's like, oh, you have an immersion blender.
Hey, I've been on Google all week long.
Now, last month we did have a trivia question.
Right.
So we'll see. Has Andy really been on Google all week long? So butternut squash actually hasn't been around for that long. When about? It's actually a cross between two older squashes.
Okay.
What year about?
You want the year?
Yeah. Do you think that the butternut squash was developed?
Well, I'd say that our ancestors, I have no idea. 1850.
1850 is a good guess, and probably something that I would guess too. 1940s.
Oh.
Not that long ago, but it's quickly become one of the most popular squashes. So.
A few decades off. It's a cross between two other squash.
Yeah, and again, I don't know how accurate this is, but it is a cross between two other squash. I know one, they said a Hubbard, which is a great big squash. And then the other one they said was a gooseneck, but when I tried to research a gooseneck, there's a little...
I see.
I'm not sure a gooseneck squash is edible, so I was a little bit confused. So more research is needed on the origin of butternut squash.
I'll get on Wikipedia.
So all of that is now pureed in our pot. I am going to add just some salt to it. So I'm going to add a ½ teaspoon because butternut squash, so mac and cheese, it's supposed to be a little bit salty. Like if it's not salty, again, your kids are going to probably not like it.
Right.
So to be honest. So a little bit of salt is probably needed in this recipe. Although if you are on a salt-restricted diet, feel free to cut back. We're adding 2 cups of cheddar cheese. So yes, there is cheese in here. And then to make it creamy, we're adding some reduced fat cream cheese. And we're just adding half of this package, so 4 ounces. How's our pasta over there? Probably done?
I hope so. I usually taste test at home. I don't really feel comfortable doing that here, but you know.
Are you saying you don't trust me? Okay, so I'm just kind of eyeballing 4 ounces as half the package because this is an 8-ounce package. If you're, so 2 cups of cheese, it would be 1 8-ounce package. So if you're buying the pre-shredded cheese. So then you just kind of stir that in there. So again, if you were doing this on a work night, you get home from work, you boil your pasta, cook your pasta, puree your vegetables, add your cheeses, and dinner's on the table.
That's quick.
So
you usually freeze it then, is that what you're saying? Or you said you can freeze it?
You can, so yeah, you can freeze the vegetables.
Or you could just put it in the fridge if it's just going to be that week.
Yeah, so like if you were gonna do the prep on like a Sunday night, you could have the vegetables all cut up in your fridge and then plug it in your crock pot in the morning and let it cook while you're at work. And then when you get home from work, you do the last steps and you're good to go. So we're gonna get our pasta.
Okay.
It better be done.
I think it's ready to be drained.
Yeah, so I'm gonna hold this. And I'll have you pick up the pasta with the hot pads and just go ahead and dump it into the colander.
You all right?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm managing.
Getting a facial here.
Yeah, a little steam facial.
All right. I'm gonna use...
Do you want me to move?
Here we go. Okay, really fast. All right. And give it a stir. And that is it. Like, that's done. I mean, that didn't take much longer than Kraft.
That's right.
Or any other boxed macaroni and cheese that you might be using in your home.
My 2-year-old will not have her meltdown yet, so I think we'd be safe.
Perfect. Looks delicious. So that is done. I'm going to set these aside and we're going to finish up our muffins. I'm going to clean up my space here. I tend to be a messy cook. Surprise, surprise. Don't need these anymore. Okay. So, it is a little warm, huh?
A little bit.
All right, so you want them to be fork tender. I don't have a fork, but they appear to be fork tender. Okay. So at home, you may want to let these cool a little bit before putting them in your blender. I'm going to get my blender. I'm going to bring it over here, actually. And I'm going to have you hand me that red spoon. And I'll let you do that. So we'll just go ahead and we'll scoop all of the vegetables here into the blender. And as you're doing that, I'm going to add our other wet ingredients right into the blender. We're going to blend them all together. So I have 1/3 cup of honey. If you are planning to feed this to a child under the age of 1, I would recommend using maple syrup instead of honey, because babies can't have honey. Okay. We're adding a teaspoon of vanilla, 2 tablespoons of oil. You can use your favorite oil for this. You want to use something that's a little bit more mild, like canola oil. If you use like olive oil, it's going to have a funny flavor. So canola oil or avocado oil is actually a very mild flavored oil as well. You could use coconut oil or even butter in this as well. You just need any type of, I mean, obviously if it was butter, you'd melt it. And then we have 2 eggs that are going in there as well. I just got really messy hands.
As long as there's no shell, we're good.
Okay. I have a hand sanitizer down here I'm gonna use. We're gonna blend that up here in a second, but while I'm sanitizing my hands real quick, I'm gonna have Andy mix together the dry ingredients. So we'll just have you take the empty bowl there with the whisk and the flour. So our audience today has whole wheat flour that we're taking home. So that's what's in that bowl. We have 1.5 cups of whole wheat flour. So you can just go ahead and pour that into the bowl. And then we have, let's see, 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. It's amazing how similar baking powder and baking soda look. And then 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And then, yeah, sometimes I get stuck in there. And then 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, which you could use a variety of different spices in this as well.
Just kind of mix that together then?
Yep, just mix that together.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. While he's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and blend up our wet ingredients. All right, that's enough. Okay. And then, since dishes are no fun for busy families that have kids in school and a million things to do. We are going to pour our dry ingredients right into the blender. Save a bowl. You could also mix them together in a bowl.
Oh, I like that idea. It goes back on, huh?
Goes back on. We're just going to pulse it a couple times. You don't have to blend this excessively. And if it gets a little thick, just take a spatula or something and just kind of blend it together. One more time. All right, that looks good. What does that smell like?
Like pumpkin?
Pumpkin pie, right? Yeah. Right, pumpkin pie. It smells like fall. It smells like autumn.
It does.
Perfect recipe for this time of year. Okay, so then I have a muffin tin, and I'm just gonna put a couple in here for now. You can use mini muffin tins as well. Kids like things that are mini, so.
That just means you can have 3 instead of 1. Right?
That's right, exactly. They're just more fun for, I don't know. But I actually find with my kids, they get tired of mini, because sometimes I'll do like something too many times in a row, and it's like the minis are no longer cool. So I make big muffins, and now they're cool again.
Now they're big muffins, yeah.
Yeah, so you have to switch things up with kids.
Mm-hmm.
So just about a 1/4 cup in each little muffin tin. And I won't do all of them because you guys get the idea. And they go in a 350-degree oven for 18 to 22 minutes for the bigger muffins. The smaller muffins are probably going to cook a little bit faster, so like 10 to 15 minutes probably for the minis. But that's what they look like before they go in the oven.
Okay.
So we just used butternut squash in 2 completely different ways that your kids would never know if you didn't tell them that there's butternut squash.
Right, they wouldn't.
So we also, so these muffins, they smell like pumpkin pie, right?
They smell good.
You could also substitute canned pureed pumpkin for the butternut squash in here. They're very similar. So lots of options that you can do this time of year with your pumpkins and your butternut squash and any other squash that you can dream up. So thank you so much, Andy, for joining me today.
Appreciate it, thank you.
And thanks to our audience for joining us and our viewers at home. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, absolutely. Totally could. I've done that before. So.
I was gonna say, I didn't realize that you had to have a special pair of socks in order to grow butternut squash. Like, yeah, I don't know if you researched that.
Oh no, he's gonna stump me here. Tell me about these socks.
Socks, yeah. you need a garden hose. You need some garden hose. I was told, come on. That's good. That's against my better judgment, but come on. That was fun.
All right, thanks, Andy.
Thank you.